2026 provides an opportunity to deliver even more progressive wins this November. Join us this summer ahead of the midterms by investing in the Progress Texas Summer Sustaining Donor Drive, funding pro-democracy, pro-justice, progressive messaging made by Texans for Texans. At Progress Texas, we're asking our supporters to become monthly donors, and for those already on the team, to increase their monthly support. Because with your partnership, we can get the message out across Texas in this critical year. We'll thank you with perks for progress. Choose from our exclusive Resist coffee mug, a Progress Texas summer koozie, or a progressive button pack. Plus, you'll get a shout out on the Daily Dispatch. Thanks in advance for doing your part to build the progressive Texas we all want to live in today.
State Representative Benton Jones, and I'm the Texas House Minority Whip. I support Progress Texas because Progress Texas is providing a very necessary talent right now as far as providing communication resources and messaging to Democrats right now, when we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to win the majorities that we need to change this legislation and change the tide around everything that's happening with this far-right agenda that's harming all of our communities right now. We stand to gain representation. We stand to gain power. We stand to gain the ability to actually get the legislation that we need passed to be able to help advance healthcare, to advance our public schools right now and public safety. If we make sure that we mobilize Democrats right now, those things can really happen, but not the other way around, because we know that if we don't get those things, we're not going to be focused on the economy next legislative session. We're going to be focused on redistricting.
It's Thursday, July 30th, 2026, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier, and we can't do what we do without your support. Huge thanks to Eric Johnson, Robert Wyatt, and Theodore Lowe for their ongoing sustaining partnership. So much appreciated. So, will they or won't they? It appears though they might. There were influencers on the socials yesterday saying that 3 debates between James Talarico and Ken Paxton were a done deal, set to go. But it looks to me like the Paxton camp is still not real sure about it. Mateo Rosiles at USA Today says that while Talarico has accepted 3 televised fall debates hosted by major news networks in the Rio Grande Valley, Dallas, and Austin, the Paxton campaign has responded by insisting that the Attorney General remains open to debating, but has pushed back against accepting those specific dates and terms set by Talarico's team, which makes perfect sense in the current moment for Republicans who have no way of winning without manipulating and modifying the rules and the game itself. Paxton's advisors do say they're finalizing details with one of those 3 news outlets for an upcoming announcement. Talarico was on with Lawrence O'Donnell on MS Now last night to make the direct connection between the current economic difficulties facing working Americans and the dominance of corporations and billionaires. The former is directly caused by the latter. Talarico also went along with O'Donnell's suggestion that the debates Talarico has agreed to go on with an empty chair if need be. The first of those would be on Tuesday, September 22nd. Great talk from MS Now last night. See the link in the show notes to watch. Trump, Paxton, and all of the GOP knows, of course, that they're living in a desperate moment, and the current and longstanding Republican regime is all in on Trump's stranglehold, as the Texas state government has joined 11 other GOP-controlled states in a last-minute emergency appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, demanding that SCOTUS allow Donald Trump's executive order restricting mail-in voting by directing federal agencies like the Social Security Administration and DHS to compile voter citizenship lists and subsequently direct the Postal Service to withhold mail-in ballots for anyone not explicitly verified on those lists to take effect ahead of the November midterms. Federal appellate judges have sounded alarms over the Trump order's dubious constitutionality. They point out the obvious here. The U.S. Constitution gives state legislatures, not the president, authority over election administration. Trump's DOJ argues that blocking the Dear Leader's order is premature, arguing that courts shouldn't strike down the policy before the agencies involved have officially rolled out their plans to enforce it. So, once again, we wait and we watch while we remind ourselves that this is all about Trump's own panic, not about an actual election problem. Decades of comprehensive studies have consistently shown that mail-in voter fraud is and has always been extraordinarily rare in American elections and has never come remotely close to being a deciding factor in any election anywhere in this country ever. We all know people who, in all likelihood, voted for John Cornyn in the midterm primary and runoff and who are now wondering what the hell to do this November. We're hoping those folks are seeing that their chosen candidate, and our senior U.S. Senator for the next few months anyway, has begun exacting his revenge and monkey-wrenching Trump in truly entertaining ways. John Cornyn working alongside the similarly scorned North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis, has forced the Senate Judiciary Committee to indefinitely delay its vote on Trump toady Todd Blanche's nomination for U.S. Attorney General, refusing to vote yes on Blanche until the Department of Justice provides formal written guarantees regarding a controversial settlement that Donald Trump made with the IRS regarding that $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund proposal that the DOJ canceled under immense public pressure. Cornyn is demanding ironclad assurances that that fund cannot be resurrected and that the deal's audit protections for Trump and his family do not grant immunity from accountability in future prosecution. With the Democrats on the committee unanimously opposed to Blanche and Republicans holding only a tight 12-10 majority, Cornyn and Tillis' opposition blocks Blanche's path to a full Senate vote. Set to leave office in January after Trump's late primary endorsement of Ken Paxton, John Cornyn is brushing off White House pressure and has canceled meetings with Blanche, defiantly warning the DOJ that if they expect him to back down under pressure from the president, quote, they're mistaken, unquote. Gotta say, we're impressed, and we hope Cornyn's primary voters in Texas are as well. You're probably also seeing word on the socials that those gummies you bought last week down the street here in Texas are about to be illegal to possess, and that is true. Joe Ellett at the Austin Chronicle writes that the Texas hemp industry is facing a major crisis as a ban set to take effect tomorrow will wipe out the legality in Texas of products containing Delta-8, Delta-10, THCA, and other popular cannabinoids, leaving only low-dose Delta-9 THC products legal, which will devastate hundreds of local Texas businesses that rely on these products for over 50% of their sales. Emily DeMott at KERA in Dallas says the fallout has already begun shuttering small businesses across the state, some choosing to relocate to more cannabis-friendly states like New York. A lot of this is on Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, whose church lady ways are now driving out local entrepreneurs while reviving black market opportunities. Patrick's challenger, Austin State Rep Vicki Goodwin, has called for Texas adults to be treated like adults and for THC products to be regulated and taxed in much the same way that a much more dangerous but exceedingly common product, alcohol, is currently across the United States. And finally, y'all, as much as we love the Texas Tribune's work and track record, we occasionally scratch our heads at their efforts to both sides it. A new piece from the Trib and reporter Samantha Habashi appears to celebrate a potential record for the GOP and possibly sending 4 women to the U.S. Congress next year if they all win in November. That's fine and all, but allow me to note that Texas Democrats have sent 9 women to the Congress over time, starting with Lara Thomas of Houston all the way back in 1966. They have 5 currently sitting Congresswomen in Reps Fletcher, Escobar, Garcia, Crockett, and Johnson, and have fielded dozens and dozens of Democratic nominees this year across Texas, many in very difficult races. Of the 4 female Republican candidates the Trib highlights here, 2 are virtual shoo-ins running in heavily gerrymandered deep red districts, and the other 2 are incumbents. And considering the Republican Party's track record of late when it comes to issues directly affecting women, the overturning of Roe v. Wade, attacks on Planned Parenthood and other Title X healthcare outlets that primarily serve lower-income women and single mothers, similarly proposed cuts to Medicaid and SNAP that directly impact mothers of the greatest need, DOGE cuts that have run hundreds of professional women out of federal jobs, aggressive immigration enforcement that has torn families apart and left many mothers suddenly without their breadwinning husbands and fathers. It's difficult, frankly, to understand why women representing and voting for the party responsible for all of that is something to even remotely celebrate. Houston listeners, the next episode of our In Progress Roundtable show will come to you on the radio on KPFT 90.1 FM at 6:30 p.m. this afternoon and every Thursday. And San Antonio listeners, it's on in your town at the same time this afternoon, 6:30 on Empower House Radio 101.5 FM. With your support, we hope to continue to expand our radio footprint across Texas this year. Hit the link in the show notes to make your tax-deductible donation to help us reach new audiences via Texas radio. This election year, you can support the real free press by investing in pro-democracy, pro-justice, progressive storytelling delivered by Texans for Texans. Join Progress Texas this summer ahead of the midterms and become a monthly donor today or increase your giving during our summer sustaining donor drive. With your partnership, we can reach more independents, progressives, and young voters, all of whom must be motivated mobilized to win elections this fall. Well, thank you at Perks for Progress, your choice from an exclusive Resist coffee mug, a sweet Progress Texas summer koozie, and a progressive button pack. Plus, you'll get a shout out on the Daily Dispatch. See the link in the show notes to join our summer sustaining donor drive. And thanks so much. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Thursday, July 30th, 2026. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Learn more about what we do and how you can get involved at progresstexas.org. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. We'll catch you again here tomorrow morning.